Let's begin with a simple question. Where does the Halloween on Ireland comes from? It's more interesting than we could think at first sight. Actually, trust me. To talk about the history of Halloween, we need to go back in time, and we need to go to Ireland because there the Halloween was first in Ireland. Okay, high up in the hills, the clans on Ireland used to used to live there, and there were many clans, and they used to wear costumes every October 31st, and the costumes made reference to the creatures of the forest, plants, animals, and all that in general. I'm dressed as a tree, just like a normal tree. The Celts, especially the Irish ones, started this tradition as a superstition because they were very superstitious. This tradition was called Samhain, 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 just like that. That's how it is spelled. Samhain means the end of the harvest, just like that, the end of the harvest. And at this point, on the Samhain, the difference between autumn and winter was marked, and that represented both sides. The good side, which made reference to life and abundance, and of course the bad side that represented death and shortage of food, water, whatever it takes to be shortage. And that's how this holiday was created. As they got dressed, they walked around the streets, and they used to light up bonfires, and sometimes they dance around the bonfires. But here is another question: why did they do this? They did this because they were very superstitious, and they used to do all of this because they believed that this way they could get rid of the spirits that came back every year. It is important to emphasize that this tradition started at the year 100 after Christ. This means this tradition has almost 2,000 years old. Years later, the practices have changed, have modernized, and now the last day of October is called Halloween, not Samhain anymore. Here in Halloween, some of the practices have changed a lot, or like I said, modernized. We still wear costumes, but now we like to go around on the streets and ask for candies on the houses of everyone. And well, that was the transition from Samhain to Halloween, and in 2,000 years.
Halloween celebration. On October 31st, high in the hills of the Emerald Isle, the sun begins to set, the flowers fade, darkness falls over the population, and the arrival of Halloween in Ireland becomes official. Leprechauns, spirits, shadows, and ghosts are some of the shadowy figures that make their way from the other world to haunt the Irish people during the Halloween holiday. As all these legends and stories have given way to a celebration that is currently full of typical food, parties, and costumes. Do you want to know how they do it? Many years later, the tradition of lighting bonfires was maintained in the hills of Ireland thanks to clans and communities lighting huge ceremonial fires. This costume became one of the biggest festivals in Ireland, held at the top of Glashga or on Wars Hill. As well as we can appreciate different traditions that have been created throughout time and are thriving, like haunted houses and cursed castles. festival in Ireland. For example, Puka Festival. This is considered as the new pagan festival of Samhain. The Puka Festival celebrates this traditional festival and welcomes the peculiar and mischievous creators of Samhain. Also, the trick or treat and the Jack o' Lantern. Gastronomy. It is in the pubs of Ireland this party smells of freshly baked cake, sweet fruits, or delicious potatoes. We also know soul cakes. They are traditional cookies made with butter, sugar, egg, flour, milk, some spices, and raisins. In Ireland, the origin dates back to the fact that they were used, as their name suggests, as a representation the souls that came out of purgatory. This tradition, with the passage of time, was becoming the germ of the now famous trick or treat.
That makes us wonder where the origin of Halloween customs comes from. Let's remember that in the Samhain or Samhain there was a belief that the dead came to this side of reality to visit their relatives. Therefore, some living feared that the day they had hurt could take revenge of them from some affront received, so masks and costumes were placed to confuse the dead and to not be recognized. However, the dead could not hurt them. Usually, costumes imitate the appearance of demons, monsters, or some supernatural being so that the dead believed that the living was some spirit that also came from the afterlife. According to the American Folklore Center, some people also did it as a kind of weapon that would scare away these spirits to avoid being possessed by them. It is also said that some inhabitants of Southing Village, as a tribute of their dead, dressed or characterized themselves as them. During these celebrations, there were people who made up their faces black or even attended by druids as if they were embalmed. Others chose to wear masks and were made with animal heads or skins. One of other customs was to exchange gender roles, men dressed like women and women as men. Now we are going to talk about games. In Ireland, Snap the Apple is one of the most popular games they play in these times. You must hang the apples on a rope, and the participants with their eyes closed and their hands tied behind their backs should try to take an apple with their mouths. At the same time, the rope is moved, and some apples are dropped into containers with water. Participants must put their heads in them and get a bite of the apple. Apples are associated with love and say that who of the first bite will be the first to find a partner. Trick or treat. This is one of the most popular Halloween customs in which children dress up and go around the houses asking for treats. When the door opens, they ask trick or treat. If the owner of the house does not give any treats, you have to prepare some unforeseen action. They may sing, tell stories, dance, anything good to achieve their goal. So, trick or deal.